Hi guys, it's Lynn here. I hope you're having the most amazing of days. Now today I'm going to be potting on my little tiny Rebutia cactus. This is absolutely tiny guys. It's like a load of little cotton wool balls, like little powder puffs. It's so tiny. I'm going to be potting this on into the next size pot here, and I'm going to share this with you. I'll just go and move the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. Now there you go, just so you can see what I'm doing there. Now what I've done is I've made up my own cactus mix. I like to make my own up, and if you don't know how to make your own cactus and succulent plant mix, links up above to a video on how to make cactus and succulent plant soil. There I share my recipe. In this case though, I've actually used perlite to replace the grit. I normally like to use grit and horticultural sand and John Innes number 2, which is a loam based soil, but you can use any type of loam based soil, or any soil that you prefer. I personally like to use loam based soils rather than peat based, and John Innes is easy to get here in Ireland and the UK. Different parts of the world you may not be able to get it, but any type of loam based soil. And I've added extra perlite to replace the grit in this case because I couldn't get hold of any grit, and I've added extra horticultural sand, and this just gives it aeration and drainage. And then next size pot up. If you want to know how to repot a cactus and you're completely new to growing cacti, links up above also to a video I've made on how to repot a cactus, because this is obviously extremely easy, so everyone would know how to repot this. It's not even sharp. But in the video I show you 2 examples of 2 awkward type of cacti, one sort of a barrel shape, big spiny thing, and the other a big tall cactus, and there I share with you how to repot them. And this one is very easy. I'm just sharing you a bit of a video vlog just so you can see what I'm doing here. And when it comes to repotting a cactus, obviously always go for the next size up. I could have gone for one a bit bigger, but I always prefer to be slightly safe and under pot than over pot. The reason being, personally from my experience of growing cacti over many years, over 35 years, I've never lost a cactus from being under potted, but I've lost one for being over potted, because if you have too much soil around the roots it can encourage root rot and root decay and everything to set in. But under potted you might get a bit of more of a shriveled cactus. Just pot it on again. I prefer to pot on more regularly than having to just put it one big pot and the chance of losing it. Squeezing it out, this is very easy to do. As I say, when you repot a cactus, always a good idea just to check over the root system. Now if these roots were very compact and really tight like a bird's nest, I would probably use little bit of a pin and just loosen them up a bit, just to help the roots to go into the new soil. As in this case, pretty good, as in the roots are loose enough there. So I'm just going to be gently placing it in here and show you what to do then. So again, a little bit of soil in the bottom there, just enough, about an inch there. Put that in. A little bit more I think can also go into there, tiny bit more. That's it. There, and then put in the soil. I like to use if it's a little pot like this, I like to use a little tiny teaspoon to put the soil in around the edges. It's easy to get it in like that. And tap it in, tap it around. You want to make sure that you get the soil all in between the sides there. Gently tap it in. Again, sometimes if you get soil is a bit compacted, you can just give it a little bit of a move with your fingers there just to loosen it up. And what I like to do when I repot cacti, I don't like to water them for at least a week or 2, and this is because this gives the roots a bit of a chance to acclimatise into their new pot. It doesn't matter how much you replica the conditions the plant was in before, you could be using exactly the same soil and everything, just a larger pot. It's always some disturbance to the roots when you do repot a cactus. And it's best, I prefer to play safe and not water for a couple of weeks, at least a week, to let the roots to acclimatise into the new pot. And also, no matter how careful you are when you're repotting, some roots do get disturbed and they're more prone to rot if you water too soon. It just gives a chance for the roots to heal. And obviously if you're repotting in the winter, which wouldn't really recommend doing unless it's an emergency, then do not water at all until the following spring. this is getting into fall now at this time of year, so I'm going to be keeping this dry now until the spring. It's not going to hurt it to stay dry. Better to be safe than sorry. Sometimes does the cacti good to shrink a little bit in their pots. Anyway, this is a Rebutia. It's going to be kept here outside in our polytunnel, and we do heat the polytunnel when the temperature drops below 7 Celsius. We keep it between 5 and 7, roughly about 7C, which is about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Luckily, we do get mild, usually very mild winters here in Ireland and UK, so heater, if at all, only has to go on perhaps on the night time. But last year's winter was terrible. It was bitterly cold and went on for weeks and months. So hopefully we won't have a winter like that. Otherwise, I'm not looking forward to a big hefty electric bill. But lucky that we don't live in really cold, like compared to Caledon and places like that. You know, this is probably like a heat wave in the winter. The biggest problem here in Ireland and the UK is purely the humidity, because we get so much rain that it's the damp that kills off these plants more than the cold. There we go. And then Rebutia, Helios albiflora. There you go. I think I said Rebutia muscala. It's actually Rebutia Helios albiflora. And this one has the beautiful, if you haven't seen this plant in flower, by the way, I put a links up above to a video of this exact plant in flower. It has beautiful cream flowers that like little stars coming all the way out, with a beautiful peach stripe going all the way inside each individual petal. It's a beautiful cactus. It flowered this year and it flowers every year for me, and it will never get much bigger than this. These Rebutias sort of go into clumps, so it will clump out over time into a clump, but it will always stay pretty compact, so great if you're stuck for space. I'm going to show you Rebutia that I have had for 25 years. This is a Rebutia albipilosa, and was it Rebutia perplex? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I'll put the correct name underneath. And this was originally like this 20 years ago. And now look at it now. It's a beautiful multi-headed specimen, and I keep it in a clay bowl and with some gravel in it. Beautiful. It has a bouquet of the most gorgeous, stunning, beautiful pink flowers all over this gorgeous cactus, and sadly it hasn't flowered for a couple of years, and I think sadly I actually repotted it and it's not flowered since. And I checked it over this year. The roots are absolutely perfect. It's got loads of new roots and everything growing on it. I think sadly it's put its energy into producing more roots, and sometimes when you use too much fertilizer, if you don't use enough fertilizer, that can prevent flowering. But also sometimes if you use too much fertilizer, that can also prevent flowering, because then you've got the problem where the fertilizer is feeding the roots and the leaves and not the flowers. So this could be the case with this, but let's hope next year it flowers. And I'd say links up above to this gorgeous Rebutia in flower. It take your breath away when you see it. It's just like a huge bouquet, absolutely beautiful. That is stunning. And this little beauty here, also the links up to this gorgeous little plant in flower. Well guys, thank you so much. Let's put you back up so I can see you all again. Thanks so much for watching, and all of your support and your amazing comments. It means so much, it really does. And stay tuned for lots more repotting videos coming up, because I've got a load, as you can see, a lot to repot, ready for the winter. And then I'm going to keep most of them all dry then to overwinter. So I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of plant power, as always, from the Emerald Isle. And until the next video, bye.